Hello there, Challenger League Coach in here. I'm making a serial where I'm pretty much just answering to Summoner School questions. This is from the top. Recently coming back to the game and looking for chill marksman streamers to rewatch and relearn the game, right? I notice a lot of marksman players are always super bitter about the game. Guess the meta is not good on the bot lane at the moment. AD carry players are delusional. And support players, I don't know. I actually don't know. But still it's not enjoyable to watch someone just being negative all the time. The only streamer I found who plays main top and is super chill is Sasuke. Other than that, what other streamers that play marksman or chiller and super good at the game would you recommend? So Saber, really good example from Isaac. From the other hand, you can also watch Gosu. I'm not sure if he still streams. The other one is Cookie, of course, that I would highly recommend. Gumayushi time to time does stream. There are pretty good Korean streamers as well. You may not understand what they are talking about, but it's really educative to watch. These are the general ones I could recommend you. Now I don't know why is my camera flickering. Uh, how do you actually play from behind? So you got to be kind of like spear shot. You need to like to take it from behind. Not everybody will understand this reference. I taken a break from League of Legends a while ago due to the game being kinda boring for me and picked up Dota 2 again, which I had been playing on and off since 2019. I want to get back into League of Legends because of the recent Jax rework and crit item changes, but I find it rather difficult to play from behind and make comebacks. In Dota when I'm behind I can always fall back to the jungle and my support has been stacking to farm up instead of lane. I can also build useful items that silence, stun or disarm, so there are sort of utility items. I've been playing Dota as well, right? Uh, Stun or disarm my opponent's defensive items that make me immune to spells or give my teammates large shields or heals. I now find it difficult to play from behind or come back in League of Legends because I got used to all of these mechanics. Yes, in Dota you have certain items that are just utility items, they're not heavy DPS oriented items that sort of allow you to disable the enemy heroes or buff your own allies, and I find it difficult to play from behind or make a comeback in League of Legends because I used to the mechanics. If I ever fall behind in League of Legends and try to farm up, I just get killed over and over again. Even trying to bait out abilities, juke CC, play passively waiting for the enemies to leave, and so on, doesn't work. If the enemy direct gets a kill over early, I'm done. I can barely farm under tower because I just get doved and frozen on. So the issue is that he says himself, if I ever fall behind in league and try to farm up, I just get killed over and over. So that's the thing, you're not supposed to fight your opponent. You should wait until they shove in the wave. More than often in lower ranks they are perma-shoving, so you're lucky. Even if you are behind, often the enemy laner will just shove or slowly push it in, or if you are missing they will think you recalled or you're roaming. So that's a way to like sort of bait out a push from them, so then you can CS more smoothly. What else do we have here? So the thing is, he doesn't know really well how to play around the Darius matchup. I don't know which champion does he play, but like Darius' early game is of course gonna be strong into many laners. Some laners can beat him in lane, some laners can outscale him. The idea with Darius is he's a heavy early game oriented champion that can't really take TP because he needs ghosts. So if you are picking a scaling champion like Ornn, only if you simply just scale, you're gonna do way better into the game than a Darius would. So even if you play a champion that is supposed to be beaten by Darius in the early game like Ornn, now of course you can beat Darius as Ornn if you're insanely skilled, but it's generally Darius favored. Then what you can do is just simply scale into him, and if you scale into him that's just perfect because Darius can't really play for the macro of the game because he does not play TP. And from the other hand, if you just buy some counter items such as Anathema's Chain on Ornn against Darius or what have you, on Ornn, right, that's just an example, then he won't really be functional in team fights because he does not have any mobility. He only has a short range CC, so his abilities are in general short range, so he sort of can't really get on top of most of the AD carries if it's built well. It also doesn't help that the team doesn't usually want to help me or gank or let me swap lanes even if they are ahead and could probably deal with my any opponents. So how do I actually play from behind? So one of the things is that just learn your matchup so you don't have to play from behind. That's your first thing, right? From the other hand, as I've been saying, many things you can do. You can wait until your opponent shoves. You can maybe roam if it's possible. Depends on your top lane champion. For example, if you play Camille, you're more roaming oriented than a Garen. Depends what do you play, or your Malphite or let's say you hit level 6. It's really easy to get the mid lane gank off, right? It really depends on your champion and what's your champion capable of. Queen, another great example. Roaming often can be the thing if you cannot beat your laner, waiting them to shove, CSing up. Alternatively, it's like perhaps setting up a ward at Herald, so at least you have like a macro advantage. Uh, you can sort of maybe play for your jungler as well, try to invade with him until the enemy top laner is freezing, and when the enemy top laner is freezing, just sort of try to do something with the time, stay in a bush, soak XP. If you have ranged abilities like Rumble or Gnardos or what have you, then you can CS with those, but there are so many things you can do when you're behind. It just really depends on your champion. Early ganking. When you are tanking early in the game, does it pretty much not matter if you don't get the kill? A lot of the time I usually get them to recall, or at least get them low enough for them to have to be very careful laning. Is it still worth going for the tanks if I most likely only cause the recall? If you have better options than just forcing someone to recall, then go for them. For example, if you can kill the enemy jungler by invading them, or you can kill the mid laner, maybe not the top laner. Forcing a recall is not bad, especially if they don't have TP. If that's your only option, then you could go for it, but at the same time you could also take a reset, depends if the rake is coming, or it really depends on the situation, right? He's talking about early game gankings. Again, if the best thing you can do is just force a recall out, it can be valuable. If the opponent does not have TP, if he has TP, it's less so valuable. It's not necessarily bad, but there are often better plays to go for. Sometimes even recalling can be better, depends what do you want to do, honestly. Uh, And also, like, if they don't recall, that's another great thing to do, because if they don't recall per moment, then your laners are allowed to sort of dive them under tower. That's also an option if they are really low and they are forced to recall. So they either lose out CS, or they either sort of die under tower if your laner dives them. But again, there are probably better options, depends on the game, how to play Evelyn. Hi, this post is long, so make yourself a cup of tea. Could I have some advice on how to play Evelyn and do it right? I started maining Eve because of the KDA. I bought skins and found out she's a jungler. Jungle is a very responsible and least liked role in the game. That's why I'm afraid to play her in the jungle. I can't handle enemy invades on my territory, and often my team says we are losing because I didn't kill the Drake. I was helping the mid laner at the time it happened. The problem is that sometimes my team doesn't want to cooperate with me, and enemies walk into the jungle in 5 people and do everything together, and my team doesn't. But in 5 people? How do 5 people just appear in your jungle? I guess there is a world where that happens. I watched dozens of guys, but it has nothing to do with reality. I love her and I really want to play her, but I'm afraid what will happen if something goes wrong. Can I get banned if something goes wrong? I play blind picks. How do I know you don't get banned in normal games, honestly? You should not be too scared to play Evelyn. Even like losing, dying is just part of the learning process. Like, even like sort of like losing these games, it's part of the success, it's not really the opposite of it. So you gotta suck ass until you can kick ass, and that's how it goes. You gotta practice your Evelyn clear, you gotta know how into which matchups to pick Evelyn, where you're likely not to get invaded. You gotta know the lane priorities, they matter a lot, because if someone has prio, they're likely gonna invade you with the enemy jungler or alone, depends. It depends on many things. For example, if you don't want to get invaded by a lane, don't pet into laners that gonna likely have priority. For example, if there is a Darius top and you have like a, let's say like a Norn, whatever, Malphite or other weaker early game champions that they can match Darius' shove and his early game, then generally what will happen, Darius will have priority and he will invade you. That's an example. So then your goal is to pet away from Darius lanes that he's supposed to have priority in, right? From the other hand, what you should aim to do is just pretty much how to avoid these early level ganks, invades. It's just by petting opposing where the enemy jungler pets. So for example, if you can like sneak in a ward on the enemy blue or red, which most likely you can in most of the ranks, you can even queue the bush, so you can see if there is somebody around to make it a bit more consistent. If you can leave a ward there, you can see where the enemy jungler is starting from, so that generally gives you the idea wherever you will get invaded, if you get invaded. Uh, and then that's the thing, like he says he's really afraid to like play heavily in the jungle. As I said, it's just really part of the process. It's just really part of the process to succeed. It's just to lose, learn out of it, learn out of your failures, right? Like if you won't get better if you don't practice a champion. Like if I'm always scared that I'm gonna suck ass, then I won't ever reach the point where I kick ass if I quit. You only lose if you quit, my man. What do I do when the enemy clears my camps? That's why I'm 2-3 levels behind. Get his camps or gank somewhere else if you can't contest your camps. Tips for Aurelion Sol AD carry and Senna support, but that's really the question. That's really the question they're asking. I don't know too well the new Aurelion Sol. Let's see if I can go for an answer. Me and my friend are trying to play Aurelion Sol and Senna bot lane. It's sort of a funnel, or not even funnel, how is it called? Starving Senna, or how is it called? Fasting Senna. We have a problem where Senna is not a good champion. And Aurelion Sol is not the best bot laner. The reason why Aurelion Sol is not that great, the more people are in a lane, the more likely someone can tank Aurelion Sol Q. For example, if they have a Braum, that can suck because he can either CC Aurelion Sol, E his Q, then he doesn't get to do anything with the enemy AD carry. Again, depends on the enemy champions, but the more champions are in lane, the more likely they're gonna have CC to cancel Aurelion Sol in some way. Mobility again could counter both Senna and Aurelion Sol. They are also really vulnerable to jungle ganks. This is not the best possible combination because Senna provides some early game bullying, but she's not that great. You sort of could replace Senna with a stronger early game champion or either with Nami. I don't think so. Senna is in general good, that's one of the things. And Aurelion's, like, there isn't too much of a combination with this pick. Can you even go for an invisible Aurelion Sol Q in Senna Z? I don't know if you can do that, probably not, right? That would be interesting if it works, but I don't suppose it should. From the other hand, they're generally not good combinations. You need better like supports for Aurelion Sol than Senna. All you can do is just hope Senna hits her W, then maybe Aurelion Sol can full combo someone, but generally not really a good combination. For example, even Zilean could be better than Senna. There are better options in general for a Aurelion Sol AD carry, but I don't think so. It's so functional as a AD carry Aurelion Sol. You need also solo XP so you can scale up more smoothly. It's not really your thing, honestly, to go Aurelion Sol bot. How do I ever deal with Vladimir? I honestly do not know how to approach this champion. One of the best scaling champs in the game, so I have to win the lane. He outsustains my poke before first back. 100 to 0 tower dives me before mythic, and it isn't even close. I have almost never won lane versus a decent Vladimir. People say to abuse the window when his pull is down, but he just plays back for 20 seconds. It's actually 28-second cooldown. If I do end up harassing him in those 20 seconds, enemy jungler will be in my lane. I don't know, but just ward. Use wards. So you see if the enemy jungler is collapsing on you, if you try to all in him, meantime he has no pull. I don't know I don't know, I don't want this to sound like a rant post, but I really need help against this. I play variety of the champs at mid and I really want tips for different classes. Please don't say play X champion, he does well into Vladimir. I know good picks into Vladimir, but sometimes that's just not an option. Well, Vladimir is sort of a resource management champion. That's the truth about it. Like, mid laners don't really know how to play against HP resource management champions. Because even I've been playing Tryndamere and people don't know how to deal with his sustain, with his all-in angles. Uh, let's see the first comment. The common mistakes people make against Vlad and Kassadin is that they think they're supposed to outlane them. So that's the truth. Like, you won't be able to punish their early game with every single champion. You can also scare really well with a lot of champions on mid lane, but you can't always deny their early game, and that's what a lot of people get desperate about. They get really fixated on it, but the truth is they don't scale insanely fast until they don't get kills. These champs are weak in the early, but they also have some defensive tools. Yeah, that's the thing, like he has some defensive tools, so with some champions you're supposed to beat him and deny his early game, but he said specifically in the post, don't tell me to play specific champions, so what can I even tell him? One of the things is you can do is just buy Oblivion Orb if you're ranged. If you're melee, don't do it. Again, if you're ranged, you're likely supposed to like apply to him at a really high consistency, so that generally means that he won't get enough healing value out of his Q, which means if he can cut his healing, then he can't really sustain insanely anymore. That's one of the things you can do. But if you're one of those champions that can't really beat him even with Oblivion Orb, then just simply go for just rush your Mythic, your Leandry, or whatever AP mid laner, or I don't know what mid laner he plays. He didn't really specify it, so it's hard to really give him tips, right? One of the things is you can do early on, of course, get priority into him. Many champions are capable to get priority into him. That's another option. Again, it's a resource management champion, so the thing is, if you go for a Q trade as Orianna into a Q trade into Vladimir, that will be better for him because he's gonna slowly heal up more and more and more. So even trades are bad into him because he sustains, right? Then the other issue is that if you're not capable to force a good all-in on him, short trades are always gonna be in his favor. So either all-in him or don't trade with him, or if you can go for perfect trades, then go for them, but just don't... like it's really like a HP resource management matchup. That's not many people are gonna get, so it's something that you're gonna learn on your own, when to poke, when to not, when it's gonna be in his favor, right? Looking for matchup win rate spreadsheet. Hi everyone, for personal data, but there are many sites, you can just go any of them. How to grind ranked without getting bored? I really asked questions. I have a very high win rates on my champ pool of Kongnunu and Udi. However, since I play so many games of them, they get so boring. I tried other roles like support and I have insane win rate on Nautilus and Brown. Well, I guess this guy is a different build. But they are probably most boring champs in the entire game. I know people who have 20 million mastery on champions and I have zero idea how they don't get bored. My question is, how do I not get bored of playing the same champion repetitively? So here's the thing. You can have a champion pool, that's totally fine, but if you wanna get on the top, you better be playing fewer champions. Again, it's really not really, it doesn't have to do all that much with the game. It's more so have to do with your own mentality. So why do we get bored of the things? The reason why do we get bored of things, they are repetitive, they don't give us that feeling of excitement, of that dopamine. It just doesn't really feel to be that rewarding anymore, even if we are winning. It perhaps doesn't give us any type of challenges, we don't feel challenged in some way. Again, often people that have ADHD have this issue that they constantly get bored of champions, so perhaps you could seek out a professional, because it does not have to do all that much with your win rates and what kind of champions do you play. It's more so about your own psyche. So I suppose you could talk to a professional about this and just seek out, like, what does he say, why do I get constantly bored of things. Perhaps he's gonna say something informative, but it really has to do with your own, like, mental health and not necessarily with the game. Should I play meta for my LoL? What's his rank? I'm a new player who has been playing blind for a couple of months. When thinking of starting ranked, I noticed when the new Aurelion Soul came out that he will always carry the game at my MMR. Because we simply don't know what we are doing for macro and our games last 40 plus minutes. My win rate with him is over 80% simply because I can farm all game and scale. This got me thinking that when I'm Iron I should filter OP dodge. Iron? Whew. You can play whatever actually. You could legit play anything. You could play carry champs like whatever, like Mastery, Velvet, what have you. But in Iron it doesn't matter what you play. As long as you can master anything you gonna reach bronze, you know, if bronze is your goal or even silver or whatever. Uh, Better doesn't matters, like you could just pick anything really in Iron, and if you're good at it you should be able to rank up. You can play simple champs if that helps you, something like Garen or Udyr or other simple type of champions, Amumu or what have you. The important thing is just to master something. It's not so champion dependent, of course you are S tier champions, B tier champions, whatever. But usually like hyper carry champs like Katarina, Mastery, stuff like that are doing insanely well in of course in lower ranks like Iron, because if you can get really fed, it's really likely they won't know how to play around your carry kit, then you will just pretty much stomp with those champions. Um, that's one of the things you can do, but again depends which lane do you play. This got me thinking, when I'm Iron I should filter OP.GG to show me S plus champions. Iron rank even if they are average in Platinum Plus, default settings, repeat this each time I rank up. Yeah, I mean, if you rank up like, let's say like one division in Iron, I don't think so the meta gonna change. Even if you reach bronze, the meta won't really change. In High Guild, I'm sure they punish his weak early game. Yes, like the thing is, yes, but you should not be too much concerned of that in High Guild, or like Aesol is getting punished in the early game. Like even scaling champions are really good in lower ranks because they are allowed to scale non-stop, so that's another thing you can do beside hyper carries. But I can't expect my teammate just pick anything that's not teammate reliant, like don't go Lulu or Yumi or what have you. Just pick something that's more so selfish, because otherwise you won't have fun. Like you don't want to rely on your teammates. That's like the best tip I can give you. Now that's it for now. These are the questions I answered for today. Tomorrow I'm gonna do another video, of course. Feel free to leave any type of questions about League in the comment section if you have any. Have a nice day.